Hey guys, how you doing? I tried to do a live chat with the other channel that I told you about this morning, and it sat there at 0, which is one of the disgusting things about people trying to shut down the channel, because that stuff doesn't make it into the algorithms, just like the videos, of course, which is their goal, no doubt. So I posted the link. I think you guys are probably going to have to try to get set up for it to get the notifications, otherwise you won't know when I go on. How's everybody doing tonight? So, what's newsworthy today, this week? I've seen a couple of things. People email me with info. And after that talk we had this morning, I'm just kind of like, what? Are you kidding me? So, what's your take on it? Did you see the post? I can't remember who posted it. Somebody posted that all the email addresses have been sent out to everybody. I think what the problem is about the other channel is I think you guys are subscribing to the one that got shut down like over a year ago with the same name. Try this link here and see if that one works. On the Lake says that they made a good haul at Hobby Lobby and they could haul it out for you. We could do a Hobby Lobby live chat. That's a good question. Does CW know what's going on? You can just imagine the leaked audio from that prison visit, right? I'll give you a rundown. Guess what? I'm a star. Oh, really? Really? You're a star? Yeah. I do a weekly podcast. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, like that's cool. Yeah, but it's private. Oh, that's cool. Like that's cool. There, that's my rundown of the leaked audio coming soon at a channel near you. Okay, it's not working. Let's see here. How do we make it work? I'm searching for it. It'll be just a second. Okay, try this link. See if this one works. And then after the audio gets leaked, then they'll play victim, right? That the audio got leaked somehow, and they don't know how. Good. Bling says that that link worked. So everybody grab that link, and let's see. The audio from RW, that would be like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And the audio from CINW, that would be like, whatever you think, just know that whatever you think is okay with us. We just want to know the truth. D wants to hear the leaked audio. Well, we just heard it, D. We just heard it. Uh, Wicked Game says that she's new to the case. We know what that means, don't we, Nurse Tara? So I hope Brenda stops by to fill us in. I want to ask her how she feels about having her email address handed out to a bunch of other people. Okay, good. Let me check and see if any of them clicked. Let's see here. Yes, 12 of you found it. 12 of you found it. Hallelujah. Exactly, Miss CD. Exactly. So I'll keep posting the link throughout here so everybody can click on it. When I saw that it was posted, evidently, that all of the email addresses of the people who have signed up so far were distributed to everybody else, I thought to myself, I wonder how people feel who have had their email addresses distributed to everybody else. Summer Breeze, we're talking about the leaked audio coming to you at a, you know, channel, no doubt, which is nonprofit. Aren't they all? Yeah, really, Miss CD. Slightly. Miss CD says they better be checking their credit card statements. I'm thinking so. It'll be interesting to watch, actually, because typically when people are calling themselves a nonprofit, they're expected to be a nonprofit. So it'll be interesting to watch. I don't know. Did you guys think about it today? Like, isn't it another day in Watts Village? Just another day where nothing makes sense, right? Dee says that she'll keep her 10 pounds. Well, here's what I thought about today. When all that hit the fan about 4 months ago, and KK came on the scene all of a sudden within 24 hours of the Watts family evidently saying no thanks to Mark for the lawyer who was willing to work pro bono. And instead, Jamie got on the phone to her friends and the circus came to town. When all that first hit the fan, I was really confused, right? I was so confused because for over 2 years, I had actually trusted that everything that we were seeing on social media claiming, that the Watts family were not telling the truth, that they weren't being nice, that they had put their daughter in law through hell, all that stuff. I had actually trusted that all of that was just a harassment campaign against them because nobody wanted anybody to be discussing the case if they said anything at all about noticing anything with those videos, right? Or with any of those Facebook posts. I mean, this is really weird when you think of how many people, because in the actual discussion groups, the opinion of most people who have been discussing this case on social media has not been the opinion that you see on YouTube that's being promoted. Okay. So all of us who were discussing the case who felt like that's just not right, that's not fair, that is not good, right? And all of us who were getting bashed and attacked and harassed, if we dared to say that's not good, right? We're probably being gaslighted. So you take it to the next level. If this is the family that Christopher Watt's wife did marry into, and with our, I guess, basic premise that she had some issues big time, no wonder it ended like it did. No wonder the nut meltdown occurred. Cosmic says you shouldn't let this hoopla get you down. Half of it most likely is rumor. If it's true that Jamie's doing a weekly podcast, then that pretty much sums up what I'm trying to say here. Nurse Tara says, who would say no? Exactly. And why on earth would they have sat there while he was talking to lawyers? Why would they have sat there telling him that they wanted to get a lawyer for their son, right? They wasted a lot of people's time only to say, oops, my bad. We're going to go ahead and, join the circus instead. I saw something else that was posted just on the, how the people post comments on their own community pages. There was something posted saying that she actually hired the lawyer to help her with her nonprofit, which is completely different than hiring a lawyer for Christopher Watts, right? Well, Brenda did join up, Dee. She's the one who hopped in the live chat earlier today and was telling us about it. And people have emailed me too, little messages that they get. Let me take a look and see if there's any newer ones. Hold on here. Let's see. Okay, here's something I saw in an email. It says, Dear valued pre-registered member, please visit, and then it gives the name of the website, and sign up today. Our website has begun its soft launch, and we would like to welcome you personally to officially register. Thank you for your interest in becoming a member. In the name of truth and justice, and then it says best, and then the name of the website. It's signed by Fight for a Family team member. Isn't that interesting? And it kind of makes you wonder, okay? So evidently she's presenting herself as doing something for the Watts family. But let's try to name one thing that has been accomplished so far in the last 4 months. Remember when Kim came on board in either her first or second live chat, she said that she would be filing a 35C on CW's behalf within 2 months. So tell me one thing that has been accomplished so far since the Watts family pulled their shit. The only thing that I can think of that's been accomplished so far is not a good thing. It's a bad thing. Because 4 months ago, 4.5, 5 months ago, there were a lot of people who were very supportive of the Watts family. And now, I don't think so. Bling says that they secured an attorney who supposedly is a specialist in false confessions. Have they announced the name of the attorney yet? I think somebody was posting it earlier today, weren't they? Bling says that the attorney handled the Central Park 5. Really? Well, let's see if we can get the name of the attorney that she supposedly hired. This will be interesting. Oh, good. Jeannie has it. There it is. There was something that Kim posted. It was a message that was supposedly sent to the attorney by Kim, according to the post. There's a different name. Okay, I'll try that one. Okay, here's the link to his website. So I wonder if they think that YouTube's a good idea. Miss CD says that CW is now saying that SW killed the girls. So what's the thought process then that they would say no to a bona fide lawyer who was ready to help pro bono so they could spend 4.5 months on YouTube so they could get enough people to give them money to pay for a lawyer? Is that how it went? Gina says that Jamie's podcast starts in April, according to the website. Well, if that's the case, then it confirms my suspicions. And it takes gaslighting to a whole new level, really. It really takes gaslighting to an entirely new level. Dee says that Lana's biggest selling point is the Jamie podcast. She has mentioned it loads. I guess they think that true crimers have a lot of money to throw at them. So they figured it would take 4 or 5 months to build up momentum to get enough people to give them money. Is that it? I'm thinking that that group is math challenged. I mean, let's look at the timeline of what occurred in the last 4 or 5 months. No, thank you. We don't want a lawyer who's going to offer to help pro bono. We're going to go ahead and do what our daughter's telling us to do and trust her friends. And then her friends proceed to totally embarrass themselves with videos of dressing up and mocking and being a little bit over the top, full of themselves, while they basically recite information that they've seen on other channels for the last couple years while they've waited for their opportunity to hop on YouTube, right? Once their dear friend Jamie gave them the go ahead. So then they spent 4 or 5 months, promoting who knows what their theory is, because you never do really get a straight answer. And then we all saw the trailer where they took a trip to Colorado. And then they started a website, a .com, no, surprise there. And then they claim they have a nonprofit and they want your money so that they can hire a lawyer, which is what the family said no to 4.5 months earlier, right? And this entire time, Jamie just wanted to be private. She just wanted to stay in the background, right? She wanted to be private while she was texting known attacker channels during their live chats. Well, why the hell did she have their text number? Why did she have their phone number? Why did she feel so comfortable texting attacker channels in the middle of their live chats? So she's connected to the attacker channels? Really? She's connected to all these people right from the start? Well, she's wanting to be, quiet and just stay in the background. And did you see the person earlier today who said, well, it's a private podcast? So that's different because she just wants to, stay in the background. I agree with Marge, who says sounds like a fundraising scheme. It sure does seem like money was the central motivator. The cute part is, though, if you think about it, if you watch what's been going on in the last 2.5 years, the attacker channels have literally thousands of fake subs. And so did those Facebook groups. Thousands of fake profiles, okay? So if they honestly believe they're going to raise money, it's kind of a hoot, actually. Nurse Tara brings up the Slayer statue, and I think that's a very interesting point, Nurse Tara. Because I'll tell you something, if I was Mama Rue, I'd have my lawyers all over any fundraising for Christopher Watts, that's for damn sure. I have a feeling that the law doesn't take too kindly to people who appear to be trying to set it up in a way so that they can claim that that money is not about Christopher Watts, right? And isn't there something just inherently offensive for any person to be raising money for somebody who has pleaded guilty to murder? Right. Jamie wants to be private, evidently, unless you subscribe. Marge says that couch jumping at the ER was the family's version of a field trip. Yes, Crystal. Nonprofits have to be transparent. So, what I wonder about too is how long they've planned this out. How many years has Jamie been waiting for her big debut? And think about it. What is her podcast going to offer? She saw her brother how many times? Once? Twice? Dee's gonna hit the hay. It's 3:20 a.m. Good night, Dee. Kim did post a pretty well-worded message that was supposedly sent to the law office. I'll see if I can try to find it. It came up on one of those community post things. I think it was on that Craft and Barnes one. Let's see. Oh, wow. He posted a thing that says Get Lucky Trivia. And it says offering the finest team trivia in the hottest bars, lounges, pubs, cafes, bistros, and more. And then it says, you want some, get lucky. And then Crafton Barnes comments that he wants to get lucky. He says, I want some get lucky, end quote. But on another post, I think this is the channel that posted the thing from Kim. Let's see here. If I can find it, I'll read it to you. Here it is. Okay, I found it. Let's see. How do I get back at the live chat here? Have you guys seen what was posted that Kim supposedly sent to the law office? Well, I'll go ahead and read it. It says, oops, where is it? This is supposedly written by Kim and sent to the law office. Or no, it was posted evidently on their public page. It says, please know, and then she puts Lana's name, full name, president of the nonprofit Fight for a Family, established on March 2nd of 2021, that you have purportedly engaged with, has represented your firm as number one, assisting with the formation of the nonprofit 501c3, from which you also will receive compensation for your legal services, and two, personally advising her in legal matters around media and her speaking engagements as said nonprofit board president, and number three, represented that you will directly represent prisoner Christopher Watts for a 35C attempt, and four, have also legally advised his mother and father. I don't have to explain the problems with this series of assertions about your firm. This and many other claims of concern were made in the attached interview held March 9 of 2021. Lana comprises approximately the first half of the program. Thank you for considering your own professional integrity when and if moving forward in any capacity with this individual, or taking any funds from the organization she presides over. Already, they appear to have, number one, removed their terms of service from their public website, number two, disclosed their full email address list to the entirety of their donors, and number three, misrepresented the status of their current IRS 501c3 status to the public. So that's kind of interesting, but I think it's kind of rich coming from Kim. The person who said that her credentials don't really matter because she knows people who do have credentials. The person who said that within 2 months, she was filing a 35C, and that was like 4.5 months ago. So if you were a lawyer who was just retained to help the Watts family, what would your advice be? One, would your advice be to promote what they're calling a nonprofit on YouTube and try to get people to sign up? to try to get some money to pay the retainer, or 2, get the hell off of YouTube, get the hell off of social media, and stop trying to sway public opinion. I wonder if the lawyer believes that they have 10,000 people ready to fork over money. I saw another post that they put up. I think it was Lana who posted it, saying that if everybody here would give $20, then she was able to get Jose Baez to represent Christopher Watts. There's just one problem with that. Jose Baez has no interest in representing Christopher Watts. Exactly, Sandy. The very first thing they would advise is to not discuss anything about the case. I thought that was interesting, though, that she said that in a Facebook group with thousands of members. If everybody here would give $20. And doesn't that kind of go against her own statements? Because didn't Christopher Watts want her and Kim to be the ones handling everything, because they know everything, right? Well, it makes me begin to question the whole thing that she was talking about with the phone. Look at all the stuff she said about the phone, how, after 2.5 years, all of a sudden we're hearing from her all of these details about the phone app, and how the son evidently had the phone number labeled mom's work, right? And then sure enough, we all went down the rabbit hole. Tell me one thing that either Kim or Lana have done to help in all of these months. Tell me one thing they've accomplished besides helping the Watts family lose all credibility. What else have they accomplished? The comment is, doesn't he only have until November to launch a 34C? It's a 35C. And he has until November for the lesser charges. The more serious charges don't have a limitation. So yes, the answer is yes. So I'm trying hard to think of something they've accomplished, and I can't think of anything. And I just think it's mighty kind of Jamie to sit there knowing that her dad was talking to Mark Gillespie on what I was told a daily basis, knowing that her mother was contacting me and talking for hours on end. And then all of a sudden, when she caught wind that there was an actual lawyer interested in helping, then all of a sudden she called her friends, and her friends jumped on YouTube. Uh-oh. 35C. Yes, sorry. I have sleep deprivation. Well, then go to sleep. Get off YouTube. Go to sleep. Get a good night's sleep. That's cute. So here's the next question. Do you think that Christopher Watt's family thinks that he's guilty of sin? Kara says maybe Jamie is worried that if Chris gets a 35C, that is going to again drag her and her family through the mud in the mainstream media again, and that's what she's afraid of. I think if she's afraid of having her family dragged through the mud, then I think she would have not called her friends up to say, hop on YouTube. Because personally, I don't think she gives one shit about the crap that's been going on with the people talking against her mother. Don't you think it's interesting that her mother's getting attacked relentlessly and she isn't? You know, if Cindy is listening to this live chat, I would suggest, Cindy, that you consider that. All of this time, you've been getting attacked and harassed, but your daughter hasn't. Isn't that interesting? Well, your daughter texts known attackers who were bashing you in a live chat when your daughter texted them. You might want to think about that, Cindy. I think Ronnie and Cindy would both do well to consider that maybe they have two kids who are not being truthful with them. You know, all this time where I've been standing firm, not for Cindy per se, but for people to be able to not be harassed who are discussing this case, and for people to not be harassed or victims of a hate campaign against them, right? And the entire time now I'm looking back at it going, really? While I was taking heat for standing up for her mother, evidently Jamie was in direct contact with the attackers themselves. So I think, you know, something can be said for not spoiling your children over the top to the point that they can do whatever the hell they want to do, and you just smile and go, "Aw, they're perfect children." Because I think it's possible that Ronnie and Cindy are as gullible as they act. Allegedly, with Brittany, says if Jamie is afraid of being dragged, then teaming up with Lana shouldn't even be an option. I agree with you, Sandy. Sandy says, I think JW is sabotaging any kind of relief that may be sought. And I think that was actually made perfectly clear the day that Mark Gillespie offered the help of a bona fide licensed lawyer in Colorado who was willing to take the case pro bono. And then all of a sudden, according to Kim, Jamie contacted her and said, evidently that it was time for Kim to jump on YouTube. Well, think about it. Cindy's been getting bashed left and right. And you know what her daughter keeps saying to her for the last 2.5 years? Mama, stay off of social media. Mama, don't watch any videos. Mama, don't be on social media. It goes right back to the point that I said earlier. Why did Jamie have the phone number of one of the worst attacker channels in the drama corner of the true crime community? Why was she so comfortable with the true crime attackers, right? She had their phone number. She texted them during a live chat when they were bashing her mother. And she didn't contact them to say, stop bashing my mother. Though she did use the opportunity to try to throw me under the bus. Exactly, Sandy. And she flipped out big time within seconds of posting one of her photos, which had already been posted in a lot of places, but evidently she didn't want her photo posted. Aw, I'm sorry. And I've heard it all. OMG, I've heard it all. Oh, she's worried. Oh, she has children to protect. Oh, she this. Oh, she that. Really? Really? And hello? What about all of us in the true crime community who have been getting doxxed and harassed? While she's sitting there, what, making plans with her friends on how to set up a fundraiser? Really? How long has the fundraising been going on? And who was it actually who hacked into Cindy's account? Remember that whole story? Oh, somebody hacked into Cindy's account, and then she admitted later, well, yeah, she gave them her password. Well, that's not hacking into your account if you gave them your password. Catherine says, what about her children? How's it going to affect them? The point, Catherine, is while she's supposedly, worried because she has children, to hell with everybody else's children, I guess. Go ahead. Go ahead, Jamie. Call the attacker channels and chat away. And then please answer the question, why did you have their phone number in the first place? Think about it. Christopher Watts is sitting in that prison, seemingly not giving a shit about all the people he's harming, okay? And it looks to me now like his family, including his sister, are going to do whatever the hell they want to do, not giving one shit how many people they harm. Oh, I didn't know that, Bling. I thought it was the other Kim. I thought, whoa, wait a minute. I didn't know she could put that together, but she admitted, even though she doesn't have credentials, that she knows people who do. That makes more sense. So that's why it was worded properly. And there weren't any likes or giggles in it. And this whole issue of gaslighting is really interesting It's really interesting because that just opens the door for an entirely different discussion. And what comes to mind first are Christopher Watts' wife's words to her mother right before the nut meltdown when she said Jamie was there and they were tag teaming her. You know, the recent events kind of shine a new light on that statement, don't they? Remember when we were told that Jamie set a bowl of nuts right on the counter within reach of the kids? Well, think about it. If you're not this sweet little honest person, you know, right? If you're a little bit conniving and you don't care who you hurt, and you've got a weird sister-in-law, and she's at your parents' house, and you know that she claims that she's afraid that the kids are deathly allergic and severely anaphylactic to nuts, even though, in my opinion, that's all questionable because I don't think the kids were allergic to anything. Then what better way to irritate your weird sister-in-law than to put a bowl of nuts right on the counter? Daisy Day says, I could see that happening. They knew that SW was batty and were pushing her buttons. Exactly. And with what we've seen play out, what if they were pushing her buttons? What if they were jerking her around? And here's something else, you guys. Oh, I almost forgot this. I wanted to talk about this. I heard something earlier today after we did the chat. There was a thing. Let me think. I have to stop and think because it's been hours. Let's see. I have no idea where I heard it, which one I heard it on, which clip it was. People email me videos and then they'll tell me where to look. So I'm not sure. So I just click on the link. So here's the thing. Supposedly, and who knows what's true because it's the case of Christopher Watts, so we have no way of knowing, right? But supposedly, you remember the whole Myrtle Beach story that we heard? Well, supposedly they were already at Myrtle Beach, okay, and they put a note on the door. Oh, I know what it was. It was NK's interview. She said that Christopher Watts went to where they were staying in Myrtle Beach, and there was a note on the door that said, son, we're at the beach. Something like that, okay? And when I heard that, I'm like, what? Because you want to know the story I heard? The story I heard was that they drove all the way to Myrtle Beach for a planned family vacation and they got their hotel room and then they found out that their daughter-in-law wasn't going to allow them to see Bella and Cece. But in NK's interview with the police, she said that when he went to where they were staying in Myrtle Beach, they had put a note on the door that said they were down at the beach. So why was I told a lie? And do you know how many times I've repeated what I was told? That they drove all the way to Myrtle Beach and they weren't allowed to see the kids. Did you know that? They drove all the way there. And you know, the edge of cruelty for that experience was that their daughter-in-law let them drive all the way to Myrtle Beach without telling them they wouldn't be able to see Bella and Cece. Which, you know, that's a special layer of weird, okay? No, in fact, according to NK's police interview, they were already at Myrtle Beach. They already had their vacation rental. They were there with Jamie and her husband and their grandkids. Isn't that interesting? That there would be two completely different stories being told? So I guess the truth is, as we already have learned, hard to come by in the case of Christopher Watts. You know, I'm not pleased that there are a couple of bozos trying their damnedest to try to get my channel down, because the bozos are basing their attempts on absolutely false information, okay? And, you know, of course, it isn't pleasant. But you want to know something? With what we learned this morning, I'm absolutely cool with every one of those videos not being available. Absolutely cool with it if it happens. We'll start at square one. We'll start at square one with the knowledge now that maybe it is true. Maybe it is true what Christopher Watt's wife said when she told her mother that they were tag teaming her. Maybe it is true that Jamie purposely set out a bowl of nuts just to watch her fruity sister-in-law overreact to it. Well, Cosmo, you're exactly right. It is called mental cruelty. And shame on all of them. You know, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to watch those videos and to see that maybe somebody needed some help, right? And if instead of being helped, she had a sister-in-law who was absolutely trying to sabotage her, it makes me wonder about everything about that wedding, too. It makes me wonder about the razor blades. Seriously. And the thing that is most almost confusing is the whole idea of the gaslighting. I mean, this case is just one gaslighting after another. Lisa says, why would that even change anything? It changes everything, Lisa. Everything. The whole thing with the Myrtle Beach story, I heard this directly from Cindy. Directly from Cindy. They drove all the way to Myrtle Beach. They got their hotel room. They waited for the phone call back from their son for when they could see Bella and Cece. And then they learned that his wife wouldn't let them see the kids, right? But in NK's police interview, evidently they were already in Myrtle Beach. They already had their rental. They were there with Jamie and the kids and her husband. Yeah, that matters. That matters big time. Oh, the peanut incident? That matters, in my opinion, because if you have a sister-in-law who is not truthful, who is not kind, who is pulling shit, and you have another sister-in-law who needs help, who is literally showing signs of needing help on her videos, right? And on her Facebook posts, right? and you know that she's got this really hyper weird issue with thinking that the kids are allergic to everything. And you set a bowl of nuts on the counter and watch, while she freaks out, or hope that she freaks out about it, then yeah, that's pretty evil. This would explain why, when I said to Cindy, why didn't you call for help? This would explain why she was like, huh? Huh? She never thought of it. This is a layer of gaslighting that I think is very difficult to recognize, and it's very difficult to identify it even. It's difficult to discuss it because a bowl of peanuts all on its own, yeah, big deal. Like Christopher Watt's brother-in-law said he had an open bag of, I think, pistachios or something, and she didn't freak out there. Yeah, because at his parents' house, probably she wasn't being tag teamed. And here's the other thing. If Cindy Watts is going to tell me a storyline about Myrtle Beach that is totally different than what NK said in her interview with the police, evidently totally different than what Christopher Watts said happened, right? Then yeah, it matters. Lisa says, after all SW did to them, big deal if it's true. It is a big deal if it's true, Lisa. It is a big deal. Because it also opens the door to the issue of the wedding. It opens the door to the issue of the food and the invitations. The stories we're being told are one thing, which are contrary to what the Roos are saying, right? Well, if they're going to lie about Myrtle Beach, then how do we know that the Roos aren't telling the truth? How do we know the Watts aren't lying about the wedding? If the Watts are going to lie about Myrtle Beach, then why should we believe anything they say about the wedding? Not only are the Watts losing credibility with this crap, thanks to their daughter, but they're also helping the Roos gain credibility. Can we agree that Christopher Watt's wife needed help? Does that seem obvious to a lot of us? Can we agree that it was even obvious that she needed help? So if it is obvious to us that she needed some help, then why on earth would Jamie be setting nuts out when she knows that her sister-in-law is weird about making all sorts of claims about allergies to nuts? You see what I'm saying? But I think it's a lot bigger than that. I do. And I think we've all been gaslighted for 2.5 years. Lisa says the Irish don't gain credibility in my eyes. Well, here's the thing, in my opinion, and it's not all or nothing, okay? But in my opinion, as the Watts lose credibility in my eyes, the Roos do gain credibility. Because I have believed Cindy Watts' stories, okay? And then to have that Myrtle Beach story be totally different. And, Ronnie said a story one time that was not at all what Cindy told me. Do you remember when Ronnie supposedly did an interview with Kim and he said that Cindy was gone for 5 hours or something and that Shanann started yelling at her, or yelling at him actually. He said Cindy left her phone and so she's calling Ronnie saying, "Where is she? Where is she?" when she went to get her hair done. Remember that? Well, guess what? That isn't at all what Cindy told me. Cindy told me directly that she was gone for less than an hour. And Shanann called her directly and started yelling at her, who's going to take care of the kids? So why are Ronnie and Cindy telling two stories about the same incident that are absolutely different? Lisa said, how do you know what NK said is true? Maybe Chris told her and he had misunderstood. Who knows? She said that when they went to Myrtle Beach, that there was a note on the door telling him that they were down at the beach. That would say that they were already at the beach, they already had their rental, and they were down at the beach. I don't think she would have been able to have pulled that one out of thin air. And the bottom line is this: 2.5 years we've been saying, why didn't anyone get her any help? Why didn't anyone help her? Why didn't anyone notice what we're noticing, right? Well, take it to a new level here, because we're not talking about somebody not getting the help she needed. We're talking about people who were evidently purposely trying to harm her. There's a big difference. And also purposely trying to harm those of us discussing this case. Because all this time, we're thinking that it's the family members who were hopping all over social media who wanted us to be harassed and everything, right? And all this time, Jamie had the direct phone call, the direct phone numbers of the attacker channels. You know, it really makes you wonder. I believe that she probably did set the bowl of nuts out to irritate Shanann. I believe it. Yes, Gina said that the note said, "Son, if you stop by, we are at the beach." Lisa, it was their responsibility to help her. Lisa says it was not the Watts' responsibility to help SW. Yes, it was. She was in their family. She was the mother of their grandchildren. If it isn't their responsibility, I don't know whose responsibility it was. And just think about it. If she was unwell, which I think a lot of us have come to that conclusion, if she was unwell, she sure as hell didn't need them adding to it or stirring her up, right? You know, okay, let's look something totally different. Ronnie and Christopher Watts are talking on the phone while she's in Arizona, right? And they're like, yeah, we want to Skype the kids, but we better not because Bella might tell, blah, blah, blah. We don't want to upset her, blah, blah, blah. That's gaslighting. When we have this information about Jamie's journey, right, it puts a whole new light on everything. Lady D says, just like poor Andrea Yates, someone should have helped her. Andrea Yates did have help. She was actually not left alone with the children. Her mother-in-law came to the house while her husband Rusty went to work. That morning, there was a lapse, like a half an hour lapse, I think it was. And he thought everything would be okay. He had to be at work either early or his mother had to be a little bit late or something. But Andrea Yates did have a lot of help and she had good doctors. She also knew she needed help, okay? In the case of Christopher Watts, I don't think that Andrea Yates' mother-in-law was at all like what we're talking about here with this whole layer of gaslighting, okay? What I'm talking about here is like the most dangerous kind of psychological abuse, the most dangerous kind. And while the ruse can seem kind of obvious and blunt and in your face, right? The Watts are holding back, being all respectful and, feigning such compassion and feigning such kindness, right? Well, I'm telling you, you're a hell of a lot safer with someone who's in your face than you are with someone who's feigning compassion and kindness. Because if what the ruse are saying about the bowl of nuts, if what they're saying about the whole ice cream thing sprinkled on top, blah, 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 the story I got was totally different than the story everyone's telling. And I believed the story that I got. Lisa said, "Are you kidding? The kids were receiving the most dangerous psychological abuse," which is exactly why I think you just answered your own previous statement about the Watts, whether or not they had any responsibility to help. But what did Bella and Cece need? They needed to be safe, right? What did they need? They needed parents who were mentally well. And if what they had were grandparents and an aunt who made it their business to poke and prod somebody who needed help, then wait just a minute. This puts a whole new light on the argument that Cindy and Sandy had. I heard one story from Cindy. I believed her. Now I wonder. Purple Rain says this is a definite change of opinion. I think what it is it's opening the door to recognizing the possibility that this may be just a hint of the gaslighting. What we've witnessed over the last 2.5 years, maybe just a hint of the gaslighting that Christopher Watts' wife may have been subjected to. And I'm telling you, gaslighting is the last thing she needed. What do you mean 1 time or 2 times? Gaslighting is not a one-time thing. Okay, here's another example to think about. 1 week before the wedding, the sister-in-law gets fired right along with the brides or the flower girl and the ring bearer and one of the other bridesmaids, a cousin's wife, I think it was, okay? They get fired. 4 months later, when the pregnancy was announced on Facebook, Ronnie and Cindy reached out to Christopher Watts and his wife, and they apologized. We don't know what for. We just know that they apologized, okay? And evidently, they never discussed it again. And evidently, Jamie never apologized for anything. So what really happened? What really happened? Why did the Watts apologize? What did they apologize for? On the Lake says, so the whole $375 at the grocery store may not be true. That's a good point on the lake, because in Christopher Watt's wife's Facebook post, she said something like she didn't have anything that was on her pre-approved list or something. So if she actually did take her to the store and spend $375 on her, then why would Christopher Watt's wife have posted she didn't have any of the pre-approved foods? Allegedly says that she still believes SW was abusive and did some pretty awful things. And I agree with you. You guys, I'll say it 1,000 times probably. It isn't all or nothing. It isn't one way or the other. It's opening the door wider to allow for the possibility that SW was actually being harassed and targeted. When all this time, for 2.5 years, we've been led to believe that, Jamie's just this nice little wife and mother who just wants to stay in the background and, you see what I'm saying? Purple Rain, I love you. I'm sorry, but is someone holding Miss Mensa hostage? SW's issues were present long before she met CW. And I'll say it again. It isn't all or nothing. And here's something else. We have discussed this case for 2.5 years, right? We've dug into every little detail. Have y'all wondered how it would be that Christopher Watts would be marrying his wife? Now that the door's open a little wider and we're going, wait a minute here, wait, this doesn't make sense. If he came from a family where the mother and the sister were conniving as all get out, then of course he's going to marry a conniver. Of course he's not going to run away from that wedding, right? Lisa says, but it was not the Watts' responsibility to help her. Really? Do you think Bella would agree with that, Lisa? Do you think Bella and Cece would agree with you on that? I think Bella and Cece would have figured it was their Mimi and Papa's responsibility to help their mother. And I'm not even talking about helping her. I'm talking about not harming her. I'm talking about not gaslighting her. Maybe SW issues were caused by her sister-in-law, but definitely were enhanced because of JW. I think, Shalina, I think you meant to say maybe SW's issues were not caused by her, but were enhanced. And yeah, we're not saying, try really hard not to think like all or nothing, okay? We're not saying that Christopher Watt's wife was normal and everything was fine and healthy and she was successful because, she was a retired nurse who was a stay-at-home mom who did more than 90% of the other women out there. We're not saying that, okay? What we're saying is if she needed help and her mother-in-law and her sister-in-law were conniving witches, then shame on them. Ricky said, so the Watts didn't like SW. They were not doctors that knew the severity of SW mental illness. Oh, I beg to differ. I think if you've got someone having a total major meltdown and she's shaking and crying and angry for 30 minutes straight, I think they knew damn well the depths of her issues. That's the way to say it, Lady D. Their actions made the situation worse. So when we talk about poor little Bella and Cece, Oh, no, it did. No, that's not what we're saying, Lisa. No. Bling just made a really good point, and I'm not like totally applauding Bling right now because of the cool Chicago. I'm teasing you, Bling. Okay. Bling says, for me, this kind of sheds light on why he was willing to cut off his family and move far away. Exactly. I think there's more to this that we have not realized in 2.5 years, and it does change the bigger picture. The bigger picture does change when we learn that Jamie is so connected to this YouTube crap and that she's starting Jamie's journal behind the paywall. Okay? You're damn right it changes things. And the gaslighting is really hard to discuss because, and that's what makes gaslighting so powerful. Okay? I'll use a different example, totally not about Christopher Watts' mother or sister or wife, okay? There are two people right now who are trying to convince me that I'm lying to them about whether or not my channel's monetized, okay? They absolutely believe that I'm raking in the dough and that I'm somehow, making thousands of dollars off of the case of Christopher Watts. They claim that they care about the truth, on the case of Christopher Watts itself. They claim. But evidently, they're more concerned with trying to take down my channel out of some fight, mode than they're concerned about having the videos up on YouTube for people to be able to discuss the case and, think about different details of the case, right? Because they're pissed at me because they think I'm some kind of, conniver who wants to make big bucks off the case. And they absolutely insist that I'm a liar because they can go to the channel and see that it says monetized, okay? They can see that there's a PayPal, whatever, not PayPal, what's it called? You know what it's called, that pay something or other. Oh, yeah, there must be lots of money coming in, da-da-da. And I said, well, wait a minute. Don't you listen to every time I do a live chat back before I turn that thing off, remember? When I would say to you guys, don't do any of that powered chat crap, right? Whatever. That, that chat where you pay money and put your comment up. And I would say to people, if they did it before I figured out how to turn it off, I would say practically, I think every single video I did, I would say, no, don't do that. I'm sorry. I should have said something. Don't do that. Okay. Try to take that back if you can. Try to stop that. Pull it back, whatever, right? Any of you who have been here for the live chats regularly know that went on. And then finally, one time I figured out how to turn that thingy off, right? Okay. This whole gaslighting example, okay, I'm the bad guy, right? And I spent literally hours of yeah, while I listened to one bullshit accusation after another, okay? Finally, I had enough of it, okay? And then what happens next day? Gee golly, someone's trying to get the channel taken down. I wonder who. That's absolute bullshit. Gaslighting is what it is. Absolute bullshit. To have me going, what? Wait a minute. I'm not monetized, right? And here's the clincher for the gaslighting. So what if I was? I'm not. But so what if I was? This is gaslighting, okay? This is exactly what gaslighting means. The person is going over and over and over again, and I'm going, no, I'm not monetized, really, no, I'm not, really, I'm not. Well, why the hell not? What's it to you, asshole? You see what I mean? Use that same context for Christopher Watt's wife, okay? We have spent 2.5 years talking about how she was always promoting herself, always acting like she was something she wasn't, always trying to act like she was successful, always presenting herself as some super human whatever, right? Okay? Maybe she had a mother-in-law and a sister-in-law who were constantly gaslighting her to that point. Maybe the ruse are spot on. And maybe they're simply not articulate in presenting it to where we would even begin to understand it. Does that make sense? You know, the ruse are more in your face, right? The Watts aren't. Maybe the ruse, with the way they've communicated different parts of this story, we're actually being gaslighted too. Miss Marple says an alien has abducted Miss Mensa. You guys, come on. It isn't all or nothing. It isn't right or wrong, okay? It's that the door has opened further and we have some new light coming in, shining on the details of these case that we're going, of this case and these discussions that we've had, that we're going, wait a minute, this is a whole new layer of bullshit. Lady D says it very well. This may be more complicated than we thought. There are a lot of us discussing this case who can look at all those videos and stuff and we can go, oh my gosh, there's the problem right there, right? There's the problem, clear as day. In fact, maybe the problem was actually the mother-in-law and the sister-in-law. Maybe had she married into a family, you guys stop it. You evidently don't get it when I say it's not all or nothing, okay? Or one way or the other way. I'm saying, had she married into a family where they actually embraced her, and when she had children and maybe was over the top berserko, where they actually embraced her, maybe she could have gotten better help. Maybe she wouldn't have gone absolutely berserko. But she married into a family which now appears to me to be a family who enjoyed toying with her. And if that's the case, not okay. That is worse than not getting somebody help, especially when there are children involved. If Christopher Watson and his wife never had kids, and the mother and sister wanted to play head games with his wife, whatever, they're all adults, right? But there were babies involved. I think that's one way to say it, Miss CD. The R's will confront you head on. The Watts are backstabbers. There you go, right there. And I've been told that Cindy Watts has been bashing me. I've spoken to her about it. She denies it. She denies it completely. I believed Cindy Watts, but now this week I'm going, who knows? Or you know what? Maybe it was Jamie bashing me with one of her mother's accounts. Maybe that's what was going on. You see what I'm saying? And if any of you are newer to this discussion, then you may not know all of the harassment that has gone on for a lot of us on social media. You might not be aware of it. Well, Cindy was off getting her hair done, right? We were being harassed. Well, Jamie was wanting to stay in the background. We were all being harassed. And I'm telling you, the day that Jamie texted one of the known attackers during a live chat, when they were bashing Cindy Watts and me, and she had their phone number, well, what's that tell you? That tells me she doesn't give an F who she's harming. Jamie's journal? Yeah. Yeah, Grace, you missed a lot. They're claiming in chat that I've been abducted by aliens. So Lisa says, bashing you to whom? They wouldn't tell me, but they insisted that they saw Cindy Watts bashing me on social media. And when I was asking where and what, they said, don't worry about it. Which again, could just be more gaslighting, right? This is the case of gaslighting, let me tell you. Purple Rain says, I wish Miss Mensa would drop names. Grace said, I saw that. What did you see? Did you see Cindy Watts bashing me? Because when I talked to Cindy Watts about it, she denied it totally. Of course, like I said, now this week I'm going, okay, but wouldn't surprise me a bit if it was her daughter using profiles with her name. Miss CD says, of course she does. Poor, pitiful, innocent Watts. Oh, Grace said she saw that I was abducted by aliens. Well, this is a weird layer to this discussion that is difficult to discuss because it's hard to understand. But I think we've all been gaslighted, and not only by the Watts. I think we've been gaslighted by the attacker channels. I think we've been gaslighted by the people who buddy up and say, oh, I'm here to help you. Grace said, I'm shocked to hear that Cindy is bashing you. Well, you know, once again, the truth is hard to come by, Grace. So I don't know if the person who was telling me that is lying to me. I don't know if Cindy is lying to me when she denies it. And who knows, my hunch would be that Jamie might have a channel going because she's always telling her mother, stay off of social media. So maybe she has a profile going of, you know, her mom's name. Lisa says, got to go to the store before it closes. Sayonara. Purple Rain says, it would seem that if these people were actually this cunning, they would have hired an attorney for themselves as well as their son. You know, maybe they aren't this cunning, but maybe their daughter is. Grace says, I never heard Jamie's name anywhere, and now it's everywhere. And I have a feeling that Jamie has been everywhere the entire time. Well, she was wanting to be in the background, right? And the part that makes me, I think, most disgusted is Jamie knew damn well that there were many of us being harassed. Well, she was evidently building her friendships with, the people who wanted to join the circus, evidently. Miss CD says you cannot believe anything the Watts say at this point. I agree with you. I'm just reading your comments here. The little man behind the curtain. Yep, and to hell with everybody else, I guess. I don't know. Call me a Yankee, call me a Northerner, whatever, but I see through the bullshit, that's for sure. We don't fall for the Scarlett O'Hara, oh, rat routine. Grace said, that's crazy. I was always under the impression that she wanted nothing to do with it. Yeah, that was the act, wasn't it? Well, she's telling Cindy to stay off of social media. She sure is connecting up with every little attacker channel she can find, right? And the sickening part of this, the really disgusting part of this, is have they been talking money from day one? Gee, how can we make some money? What can we do to make some money? And let's go back to square one where I started when I first started talking in this live chat. Do the math. Do they honestly believe they're going to rake in some big money? Shalina says, I have spent 3 years defending the Watts, but I can see how it really was. JW controlling the narrative. Exactly. Exactly. And in my opinion, they've been gaslighting the Ruseks. They've been gaslighting all of us. And if this is how they're acting after the tragedy, just imagine how much they were gaslighting Christopher Watts' wife. And I'm not saying Christopher Watts' wife was perfect by any means. But like I said, Bella and Cece deserved for their mother to not be getting gaslighted by their grandmother and their aunt and their father-in-law too, or their grandfather too. Christopher Watts' wife deserved to not be getting gaslighted by her mother and father-in-law and her sister-in-law. So all this time, for 2.5 years, I've said, well, it's too bad Christopher Watts went to the wedding. And you want to know something? It's too bad that his wife went to the wedding. Because all the crap we're learning, it's really too bad that she went to the wedding. because I think she married into a family of evil. And if that makes your head spin, I'm sorry. I said this morning when this stuff was first coming out, and I was like, what? Are you kidding me? I said, I don't want to give you guys whiplash, but here goes. Ask yourself, why are we told two different stories about the haircut day or the hairstyle day? Why is Ronnie sitting there saying that Shanann called him 5 or 6 hours later and burned up his phone because Cindy had left her phone at home and she wasn't home yet, and he said 5 or 6 hours later, and she was yelling at him, who's going to take care of the kids? Okay. Cindy Watts told me directly that it was less than an hour, but coming up on an hour. She had left the house, left Shanann there with the girls, and when it was coming up on about an hour, Shanann started burning up her phone, yelling at her, who's going to take care of the kids? Why would Ronnie and Cindy have two absolutely different stories? Did Shanann ever call and say who's going to take care of the kids? I mean, if you're going to lie about whether it was 5 hours or 1 hour, if you're going to lie about whether she was burning up Ronnie's phone or burning up Cindy's phone, did she even call at all? Grace, is that supposed to say cojones? I think it is. Hold on to your cojones or cojones. There's a lot more coming. Tell us more. Grace says, okay, nobody wants to give up who the September lady is. Are we not supposed to know? Who's the September lady? Jane says, I have never seen a picture of Jamie, Cece, and Bella. Oh, I have no idea what that word is. I've never heard it before. Miss Myrtle brought up the movie The Exorcist. Her head spinning just like Linda Blair in The Exorcist. Oh my goodness. Oh, Grace said that's the lady who went into the Watts house in September. Who do you think it is? I'll tell you one thing that really pisses me off. You guys are going to laugh at me. You know how I write those little essays and I put them up on Kindle and then I give them to the discussion groups? I've been doing that since 2008. The essays aren't much. Okay. They're a short read. They're good for like a coffee break kind of thing. Okay. Not all in one sitting, but they're just, you know what I mean, an easy read. Just my opinion on true crime cases, right? I have had an essay written ready to hop up on Kindle. Hold on, I'm yawning. Oh, I'm yawning. Sorry. Um, I had an essay ready to hop up on Kindle with it back when the whole Kim show came to town. I'm like, crap, because now the essay is different, right? Well, I was ready to throw this one at the Facebook group and say, hey, tell me what you think of it, and then put it up on Kindle. And there's no way. There's no way. I put part one up. I'm going to take it down, man. I might leave it up there just for laughs, I guess, now. But this is ridiculous to find out that Jamie has been absolutely involved with this crap from day one. Oh no, it's contagious, Lady D. There's another one for you. You guys are all yawning. Uh-oh. It's past our bedtime. So I think I'll just scrap the whole essay and just say screw it. Maybe I'll write an essay that says something along the lines of they're a bunch of conniving creeps or something. I don't know. Raz says we're all going to need psychotherapy after this turnaround. Well, we have each other. This is our support group. Purple Rain, I think she was. I think she absolutely was. Purple Rain says Jamie could have been behind them not getting a lawyer for her brother. I believe it to my core. After what we saw play out when Mark Gillespie got that lawyer for them, and then within 24 hours, the circus came to town. And it wasn't just Kim, you know, it was Kelly, it was Shannon, right? Everyone's claiming to be her best friend. Lady D says, how do we find your essays? I have a Kindle. Um, we're not letting anybody new in the Chris Watts discussion group because of all the attacks, so it's hard to get your hands on them, actually. And the fact that you can't get your hands on them from that group speaks volumes for how we know we don't have any of the harassers in there. So we're not letting new people in. But they're up on Kindle. What I do is I run freebies. I'll do like, because Kindle lets you do like a 24-hour free thing. Last Friday, I did the Carly Routier book, Unbelievable, and the Betty Broderick book, Permission to Scream. Those were both on a 24-hour freebie. I can do a couple of the Chris Watts essays for free, maybe. Um, they only let you do like so many total for each title and stuff, but I could try to do that. Lady D, do you have Kindle Unlimited or do you have the regular Kindle? Because if you have Kindle Unlimited, just go to Kindle and there's all sorts of essays up there. And I try to put them in that match, whatever it's called, matchbook thing, so that people can get them if they don't have Kindle Unlimited, so they can get them for. I think they have to be less than $2.99 or something like that. I've tried to try. I always try first to put it up there for 99 cents. Oh, good. If you've got unlimited, then you can just go grab them. They're right on Kindle, kdp.com. There's all sorts of them. Oh, let's see. I'll find one for you and put the link there. It'll take me just a minute. Oh my goodness. Once I start yawning, I keep yawning. Okay, you guys are going to laugh when I post this. You're going to crack up laughing. Oh man, my eyes are watering from all my yawning. You are going to laugh so hard when I post this link. Check out this link, you guys. You will laugh so hard. Talk about whiplash. The name of this last essay was Cindy Watts, a woman of strength and love. I think Miss Mensa was getting gaslighted. Either that or Cindy's the one getting gaslighted. How many of you are yawning now? Shalini says, OMG, OMG, OMG. I must have missed something in chat while I was searching for the essay. What did I miss? You guys are so self-sufficient. I love it. She says, CW in the bathroom as a boy praying. Okay, what did I miss? Okay, is this it? A child as young as 3 years old will experience developmental delays just by being exposed to parental arguments and verbal abuse. Imagine their exposure to Nutgate's fallout. Is that what people are going OMG about? Well, the whole thing about the calls, Geneva, is if Ronnie's going to say that it was 5 or 6 hours later, and Cindy says it was 1 hour later, Ronnie says that she was calling him and Cindy left her phone at home. Cindy says she was calling her, with her meaning Cindy, and that Cindy had her phone on her. Okay, so if those stories are so far apart, right, then how do we know she called at all? And do you remember when they came out saying that they thought that she was bipolar and that they thought that she was trying to isolate their son and stuff like that? Do you remember how the next day the Ruse came out saying basically that they didn't agree with what was said and stuff like that? And do you remember the reaction? And the true crime community was, what? Who do they think they are saying that? Who do they think they are talking like that, right? Well, okay, now think about gaslighting. And if you guys don't know about gaslighting, if you're not familiar with it, then earlier today we posted a couple of really good book titles that you should read. In Sheep's Clothing is one of them, and the other one is People of the Lie. If the Ruseks have been dealing with the Watts, with what we're just now beginning to catch on to, okay, if they've been dealing with that already at that point for 8 years, they're going to come out, and then, like I said earlier, they're more in your face than the Watts are, right? They're going to come out in your face and they're going to go, we're not going to tolerate this, right? Okay? And then the world's going to go, whoa, What's that about? Because all we see is a calm couple talking about their concerns, right? And then you have the ruse on the other hand going, we're not tolerating this. Okay. Well, maybe in that 8 years, the ruse knew damn well what was really going on. And with gaslighting, it's really hard to describe it for anybody else who is not a target of it, okay, or part of seeing it happening. But the bottom line is the person who is doing the gaslighting can sit back, aka Jamie, and just go, oh, I just want to be in the background while they're watching the show that they're helping to create. And then people like the ruse, right, who are more in your face, they're going to be saying, here's another obvious thing. Now, obvious, not obvious up until this point. But you remember how we're looking at that letter that Christopher Watt's mother-in-law wrote for the police, and we're like, wow, it's all about the wedding. It's all about the peanuts. It's all about the, Christopher Watt's wife saved his life by detecting his cancer early, stuff like that, right? Okay, and we've asked the question, why was she talking about the wedding? Well, when people are being gaslighted, they're never able to be fully heard, right? Because the gaslighting is basically minimizing experiences that they've had. Maybe that explains why his mother-in-law sat down and wrote, what was it, an 8-page letter, I think it was, talking about the wedding to be heard, right? So if you guys are not familiar with gaslighting, I would definitely read up on it. You can, come on. I mean, we all know how to Google, right? Read up on it and learn about it and bring something to the table, like come up with examples of your own from this case of times where it looks like maybe there was gaslighting going on and maybe we've all been fooled by it. And I mean all of us. Even the attacker channels have been sucked into this, right? And you know how everybody who discusses this case is like, oh, brother, the Watts case, the case from hell? I think it's because of all the gaslighting that's going on. Here's another example. The attackers are constantly saying stuff to me, constantly attacking me, constantly lying about me. And the stuff they're saying about me, it's stuff that they're doing themselves. That's called gaslighting. So if the goal of Cindy and Jamie and Ronnie is to get the world to believe that their daughter-in-law was a total over-the-top you-know-what, and that makes you wonder which one of them actually is. Well, Grace says, why though? I don't understand why they did all of this and now showing true colors. I don't think they think they're showing true colors. I think that they think that they have achieved something with the whole circus routine. And I think that they think that all their supporters are going to come right along with them and pay money. I think they're mistaken. I think they're sadly mistaken. Because I think that the people who did believe, excuse me, the people who did believe that they were credible are watching their actions now and their words now, hearing their words, and looking at going, wait a minute here, this doesn't fit. If Jamie does that Jamie's journal bullshit after texting one of the attacker channels, after telling her mother to stay off social media, after a few other things too, if she pulls the Jamie's journal behind a paywall, I have zero interest in even trying to believe that they're credible. Lady D says it seems they discard people once they're done with them. I think that's actually backwards. I don't think they discard people. I think people walk away from them. I was contacted by a person who was helping them with something else unrelated. And all they needed was to sign one form because they had complained for a long time that they weren't getting the help that that person was helping them with. And they spent many hours and many frustrating phone calls trying to get them to sign one form, and they could have had the help that they were claiming they wanted to have, and they never signed the form. And to this day, they're still complaining. Okay? I don't think they walk away from people. I don't think they discard people. I think people walk away from them. So yeah, if you see that Kindle link that I posted, you're going to crack up laughing. And that's what I was saying about that essay. That's just the little first part of it. But with what we're learning, it's kind of hard to worry too much about uploading the rest of it. Oh my goodness. This case really, truly is the case from hell. Ooh, this looks interesting. This looks interesting. I just got an email from somebody in chat. I won't say who. This was posted 1 year ago. So this was out there. Interesting. These were evidently excuse me, these were evidently posted by J is for Justice. Interesting. The oh my goodness. Okay, you guys, get ready for this. This looks pretty dang interesting. Thank you to the person who emailed this to me. I have never seen this. I've never seen this before. It's a summary of texts between Cherilyn Cadle and Jamie Watts. It says points of interest and disgust in those texts. It says Jamie thinks that NK had some type of involvement in the murders. It says Cherilyn asks Jamie to write something for the manuscript and tells her she'll put it in the book unedited. Cherilyn pledges to use all of the book's profits toward an appeals lawyer for CW. Cherilyn thinks that the American Horror Story is an old movie. Cherilyn tries to goad Jamie into talking crap about Frank Sr. and Frankie Jr., but Jamie apparently doesn't take the bait. Cherilyn claims she had a dream about CW being at the Watts home, out of prison and holding a baby. He had a wife, and it wasn't Shanann. He was free. Cherilyn references a blonde bimbo YouTuber. Jamie instantly responds, okay, and then she tells who it is. Because, Jamie just wants to stay in the background, but she happens to know who all of the attackers are. That was my opinion there, tagged on to the other one. It says, Cherilyn refers to the ruse as total redneck scum and the YouTubers that they associate with as the scum of the earth. Really? Well, she associates with those YouTubers. That's interesting. I wonder if they know that she calls them the scum of the earth. Cherilyn asks almost gleefully, wouldn't it be great if we could prove something satanic happened? Okay, that's kind of weird, you guys. Jamie responds, oh my goodness, I feel like we finally have something. No. Wow. This is weird. Cherilyn tells Jamie that she's going to present Shanann as having pushed CW into killing her, but in a way that doesn't look like she's blaming Shanann. Cherilyn claims she has spent thousands on this case. According to Cherilyn, CW claims he had a vision of his grandparents turning into demons while in his prison cell with him. Cherilyn tells Jamie that the entire book is almost solely CW's words. At one point, Cherilyn tells Jamie that she had plane tickets on hold for a planned visit with the Wattses, but Cindy wouldn't call her back after their falling out, so she let the tickets go. At another point, she says she was just pricing plane tickets. Jamie hates that Cherilyn marketed a book about her brother murdering his entire family as a, quote, true crime book. So that's interesting. So if all of the proceeds from that book were supposed to go to Christopher Watts, Miss CD says Cherilyn is another one not to trust. But isn't it interesting that that's who Jamie's connected to? How many of these people who we have learned not to trust is Jamie connected to? I agree, Grace. This is the craziest case of all. So this is pretty interesting. What a weird day. What a weird day. And evidently, they must think that Jamie's journal behind the paywall is going to be a big moneymaker. If you guys are bored over the weekend, definitely grab the book In Sheep's Clothing, and also grab the book People of the Lie. I have a feeling that's what we're dealing with the Watts family. And if you're really bored, actually, even if you're not bored, pick up the book A Woman's Worth by Marianne Williamson. That's totally unrelated to this whole discussion, but it's a really good book. Well, Shalina, I think you're right. I think we have figured it out. And this isn't just oh boy, let's hop on the gravy train and bash, oh boy, we're going to go ahead and make a bash Cindy video because it's cool to do and I'll probably get some clicks. That's not what this is about. This is about taking a look at this case and realizing there's another layer here that we were unaware of. Because Jamie's actions do not match her words. And neither do Ronnie and Cindy Watts' actions match their words. And what I think is happening is they're actually shedding some light on the fact that they actually may have been tormenting Christopher Watts' wife. It's bad enough if they didn't want to help her. That's bad enough. But if they were pushing her and prodding her and jerking her around, then what's that tell you about what they're made of? I already fully learned that Jamie did not give a shit about the harm brought to so many of us in the true crime community. She didn't give a shit. She hopped right up on that attacker's channel by texting him during a live chat and trying to throw me under the bus. And sure enough, guess what, Jamie? Guess what? I only got 3 death threats from that little attempt. So just think about it. If Jamie doesn't care at all about those of us for being harassed, that she would do such a thing as try to throw one of us under the bus, the one channel that has actually stood in defense of her mother, then just imagine how she treated Christopher Watts' wife. Kara, the Jamie's journal will, we're told, be behind a paywall. Because, money matters in the case of Christopher Watts, right? I mean, this explains why they didn't want to go with the pro bono lawyer, right? Because, they have to have a reason for people to send money. Gaslighting is serious, you guys. It's serious. It's psychological abuse. Look at the case of Betty Broderick. She was like the landmark case for the psychological abuse, right? If you take a closer look at her case, she was being gaslighted for years. Jamie says Jamie Murray, not Jamie Watts. Jamie Murray says, I've been getting hassled up the wazoo. What's been going on, Jamie? So just think about it. Think about the nut meltdown. You know, Christopher Watts' wife said something to his mother the night before the nut meltdown. She said, does that mean you love me? Now, this is according to Cindy, right? That's where I'm hearing it from. She said, does that mean you love me? Oh, people are thinking you're CW's sister? Well, don't feel bad because they think I'm NK sometimes. Then they think I'm Cindy Watts sometimes. I've been accused of all sorts of crap. You know that's part of how they do what they do, right? It really does change everything. And it actually helps the case make more sense once you turn the corner. Once you let it sink in a little bit, it helps it make more sense. Okay, remember when we were talking earlier today about how Christopher Watts' wife had him lie to his parents about how old she was? Well, okay, that's weird, right? So who would have done that? You see what I mean? Maybe Christopher Watts and his wife were a better match than we realize. Heather says, hello, how is everyone doing? I hope all is well. Well, Heather, the aliens have abducted me. So this won't make sense for a little bit here. Here's the alien emoji. Yes, Heather, we're discussing the issue of gaslighting and my opinion on how the Watts have been gaslighting all of us for 2.5 years. And so have the attacker channels too. So it's no surprise that Jamie is connected to some of the scummiest channels of all. Not really down a rabbit hole, Heather. We're pretty much it's stuff like the nut meltdown. We're shedding some light actually with this new information on that situation. And instead of saying, wow, she just created that, she was having her own thing going on, da 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 da, we're realizing that it's likely that her mother and sister-in-law, her mother-in-law and sister-in-law, were actually playing mind games with her, playing mean girl with her. Lady D, I'm not going to put that comment up on the screen, but I just read it, and that's exactly what it's about. That's the gaslighting, okay? So, okay, we all agree that Christopher Watt's wife came across acting like a fruit, right? Well, I'd like to know what it was that Ronnie and Cindy apologized for after not making it to the wedding. What did they apologize for? And did Jamie ever apologize, or were Ronnie and Cindy just making excuses for her? What really happened? What really went on? And I'm sorry, but when you have that many people in their world seeing the posts that we've been talking about, you know, both kids are sick again, both kids are sick again. Did Jamie care more about watching her sister-in-law self-destruct than she did about Bella and Cece? Is she doing the same thing now with her own mother? And remember when Cindy said that the lawyers flew to North Carolina to tell her to stay off social media, that she said her daughter knew the lawyers were coming and never told her? Jane says, why would a respiratory therapist put a bowl of nuts on the counter? Exactly. Except I don't think they believed the allergies, and I don't either, quite frankly. But it'd be a good way to get Christopher Watt's wife to go berserko, wouldn't it? Okay, let's talk about one other issue. The tattoos on Grandpa. Okay? Papa had tattoos with Jamie's children's names, right? Would that irritate you? They said they had photos up of Jamie's kids, but not Bella and Cece. Would that irritate you? Cindy said she had a bowl of chocolate kisses sitting out from Christmas. It was July. She said that Shanann said that Cece was allergic to chocolate. And she had a bowl of chocolate kisses sitting out. Within reach from Christmas. Gina said they don't last that long around here. So that's what I'm saying. You know, the Rusaks are much more direct and in your face. The Watts are laid back and, you know, hiding around the corner, right? When Senior came out after the Watts gave that interview, when he came out saying like, this isn't okay, then really, how did that appear to a lot of us in the true crime community? We were like, what is he doing? Why is he trying to tell them they can't talk, right? You know, he wouldn't have been able to have gotten up there and say to the true crime community, look we've been putting up with these people for 8 years. We know how they operate. This is exactly how they operate. They try to sit there and act all helpless and naive, but they actually were prodding my daughter. They were pushing my daughter. They were taunting my daughter. Exactly, Ricky. Gaslighting. He couldn't get up there and say, look guys, this is gaslighting extraordinaire. The Watts have been doing this to my daughter for 8 years. You know, everybody in the true crime community would have said like, what? But here we are 2.5 years later going, yep, because they would have known that the shit they were saying would have gotten a reaction from the ruse. They would have known it. Just like they would have known that setting a bowl of chocolate kisses out would have gotten a reaction. Just like they would have known that setting a bowl of nuts out on the counter would have gotten a reaction. What they didn't bank on, what they didn't bank on were the bitches on board. Because I'm here to tell you, those of us in this chat who are aware of the whole gaslighting thing, whether it's through getting a BA in psychology or getting a BS in psychology, whether it's clinical psychology or whether you have a degree in social work or wherever or whatever, or if you know, even just read the book People of the Lie or read the book In Sheep's Clothing, and you're aware of how this crap goes, right? Well, the bitch is on board. We can look at it, even though, granted, we're 2.5 years late. We can look at it and go, whoa, 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 wait just a minute here. I love it now. The discussion is whether or not kisses can last that long. You guys know that we are the go-to source for information on Hershey's Kisses. That's for dang sure. Remember what Cindy's reason was for giving that interview. She said that she was hoping that her son would see it somehow, that the word would get out to him. That was her only way, the only thing she could think of doing to try to reach her son. Really? Or could it have been the only thing she knew how to do to try to gaslight others? And if you knew who told her to do that interview, you would be appalled. You would be appalled if you knew who, because all of those people are connected. Exactly, Grace. That's what I'm saying. And again, it isn't all or nothing. It isn't black or white, right? But that's exactly what I'm saying. The Roos have been reacting to the Watts, and the Watts have known exactly how to push without caring who at all is being harassed. Those of us in the true crime community who have been getting harassed, the Watts don't care at all. Jamie doesn't care. She evidently had a plan. Jamie's journal. Really? Kay Cooper says, I think I might have an idea who told CW, meaning Cindy Watts, to do that interview. But I could be wrong. If I'm right, though, damn. And I'll just say this without saying who told her to do the interview. All of those people are connected. And they have proven over and over again to be very ugly people. Very ugly people. So they got in her ear and they said, well, that's a good idea if you do an interview, because then maybe he'll hear it. Right? And then she got up there and she did the interview. And, look at how passive she acted. And when the reporter asked about the wedding, oh, we didn't get along, she said. She and her daughter-in-law didn't get along. Really? Really? Because the night before the nut meltdown, her daughter-in-law said, does that mean you love me? Kay Cooper says they're all connected. Yes, they are all connected. And when they get up there and talk about how they're fighting with each other, or when they get up there and say they're, angry with this one or angry with that one, it's all bullshit. All of it. I've said before that this is really a landmark case for three different issues, basically, right? A couple of more issues, a couple of other issues, but three basic, right? The battered male syndrome, Munchausen by proxy, and the need for mental health services to be readily available, right? A couple of other issues too, things about social media, things about MLMs, things about, people who file bankruptcy after bankruptcy, right? Or even one bankruptcy while they're off spending their money, pretending like they earned the Lexus, right? So this case just offers all sorts of opportunity for discussion on issues of public concern. But let's take a second look now at the top three. The battered male syndrome. Maybe we should be talking about the mean girl syndrome. Munchausen by proxy? Maybe we should be talking about a grandmother who claims she bought the Benadryl and Tylenol and watched her daughter-in-law give the children Benadryl and Tylenol when they weren't sick, who never said a word. Mental health services? Maybe we should be talking about a sister-in-law who thought it was fun, evidently, to torment somebody who was in need of support. Which brings us back to number one. Maybe we should be talking about the mean girl syndrome. Because I'm here to tell you, if you're a mean girl, you got issues, chick. You got issues big time. So this is an interesting bend in the road in Watts Village, because I think the blinders are off. And again, it's not all or nothing. It's not black or white, okay? It's saying, hey, wait a minute here. I think the Watts have been gaslighting the Rusek, and I think the Watts were gaslighting Shanann all along. Jamie's journal? Really? Behind a paywall? Really? For someone who just wants to stay in the background? Right. Well, she's connected to the scumbags. Okay. That makes sense, doesn't it? No, it doesn't. How is it she can be connected to so many scumbags, right? How's that work exactly? What, does she collect scumbags? And how is it they're all her best friend? Have you noticed that? How long have they been planning this? Kay Cooper says, I got here 30 minutes late. Anyone wanting to update me on what I missed? You're cute, Kay Cooper. Okay. We're past Miss Spence's bedtime. If I start yawning again like I was before, we're going to go ahead and say goodnight. Ooh, Grace figured something out. Share, Grace. Grace said, when you said that, I think I figured it out. Well, Kay Cooper, there was somebody in the earlier chat this morning saying that she's close friends with Jamie for 6 years, blah, blah, blah. She said she was close friends with Jamie. And I said, how long? And that took a few tries to get her to answer that. And then it turned out more to be like friends of the family and friends of the extended family. So who knows, right? I mean, come on. Everyone's her best friend. She sure does have a lot of best friends from the scummy corner, right? Isn't that interesting? Oh, Grace figured it out about the person. Okay, don't say who, Grace. Don't say who. But yeah. Yeah. The one who told her to do the interview is, in my opinion, the biggest scumbag of all. in the whole Watts routine. The biggest scumbag of all. She was on the attack before I had ever even heard of this case. She surrounds herself with scumbags just like Jamie does. So it's not surprising that she was the one in Cindy's ear immediately after this case hit the headlines and then advised her to do the interview. I guess gaslighters like to hang with each other. Oh, every time I yawn, I think, okay. Oh, sure, little star. Actually, I'm trying to, but it's just buffering. It's there. Jamie says, how disheartening this is. It is disheartening, but knowledge is really key to understanding this crap because, you and I have talked before, Jamie, about how this case is just so weird, right? It's so weird. But this would help the weirdness make more sense. It would also help Christopher Watt's wife make more sense. And in my opinion, it helps her mother's letter make more sense, because I've always thought, like, why were there so many people talking about that wedding 8 years, or not 8 years, 5.5 years later? Well, it makes sense because people who are being gaslighted, they will repeat themselves over and over again because it doesn't make sense, right? They will repeat themselves. That kind of crap does matter 5.5 years later to the person who's been gaslighted. The person who did the gaslighting, oh, they're just holding back. I've said right from the start, why didn't law enforcement ever interview Cindy Watts? That doesn't make sense, right? Well, I don't know. Maybe they tried. Maybe they tried. Maybe Cindy Watts' lovely daughter who wanted to hang in the background said, Mama, don't you talk to the police, Mama. Who knows? But what'll be fun to watch is when the quote unquote nonprofit realizes that their math probably isn't going to work for them. There probably won't be tens of thousands of dollars to throw around to each other, right? I got about 3 emails, I think, 3 or 4 emails. Evidently, there's rumor out there that one of them is going to be making 100,000 a year off of this nonprofit. Are you kidding me? Nonprofits are required to be transparent. And if they're going to try to get a grant for their nonprofit, then information does become public, right? Even if they don't try to get a grant, certain information about the nonprofit becomes public. Do they really think that people are going to be tripping over themselves to throw money at them? Because again, I asked the question when I first started this live chat. Tell me one thing that Kim or Lana have accomplished in the last 4 months. One thing. What have they accomplished? One thing. Kay Cooper says, drink a Mountain Dew, Mensa. If I drank a Mountain Dew, I would be like probably for about a half an hour anyway. I'd be talking pretty fast. That's exactly right, Jamie. That's exactly right. People may not realize how many of us have been harassed for not hating them, okay? For not hating them. And it is interesting that while Jamie pretends, not you, Jamie, the other Jamie, while she pretends she's just this, private person who wants to stay in the background. And while she's telling Cindy Watts, Mama, you stay off of social media, Mama. Stay off of social media. Well, we're all getting harassed. And while she's texting the scumbag attackers, well, that tells us all we need to know. You guys watch. Within about 6 months of us discussing this case, we're probably going to be the #1 Shanann Watts supporter channel. And here's the hoot. You know dang well that even though she's doing her Jamie's Journal behind the paywall, people are going to be making videos about it, right? And she knows it too. Don't let her kid you. She's not the helpless little flower that she wants you to think. People are going to be making videos about Jamie's Journal. And we're going to learn even more, aren't we? And we're going to go ahead and connect the dots. And we're going to go, whoa, that little bitch. Kay Cooper's laughing. She said, that accent is too funny. We talk way worse than that. Kay Cooper says, these people who are running that scam of a nonprofit have stepped into a massive pile of crap. They are not too intelligent to do this mess, in her opinion. Well, it'll be interesting to watch. I'll say that much. It'll be interesting to watch. And as soon as the first videos start flying up of Jamie's journal, I think those will be interesting to watch too. And tell you what, we'll do a live chat on each one. Case Cooper says we do the Ronnie mumble. Oh yeah, the mumble. You know what's weird about that? That whole mumble thing? I've talked to him on the phone. He doesn't mumble at all. He speaks very clearly. I've talked with Cindy on the phone while he's talking to both Cindy and me at the same time. He doesn't mumble at all. So that whole thing of how I think it was in that one leaked video of him visiting Christopher Watts where he's kind of like, right? I think they're kind of taking that and running with it because I've talked to him and I'm telling you, he doesn't mumble. Yeah, I have a feeling that Ronnie Cindy and Jamie are a hell of a lot more crafty than we've been thinking they are. And I think they think that their little ship has come in. Oh, is that where that comes from? That was a comment posted under the Jamie's Journal bullshit. Here's a question for you guys. Do you think that Cindy is aware of all this crap or no? Because I think it's interesting that whenever I speak with Cindy, she always says that Jamie wants her to stay off of social media. Do you think Jamie might be trying to pull crap and basically throwing her own mother under the bus? Like, go back to the thing about the one who talked Cindy into doing that interview. Could it have been Jamie saying to that person, hey, talk to my mom and tell her to do an interview? You see what I'm saying? That's a good question. What does Jamie have to say that's so important? I don't know. Maybe she could talk about how it is she's connected to all the scumbag attackers. That'd be interesting to hear. I'd be willing to pay $10 to hear that, but the problem is I would never use my bank information to sign up for anything related to any of the scumbags. You know, what happens if 3 years from now, all of a sudden, all of you who are signing up for stuff see that you're getting billed for things? You know, maybe just an accident, like releasing everybody's email address, right? Maybe just an accident, maybe just a careless accident. So apparently, Lee says, apparently it's going to be all about their lives growing up to present day, if I understood correctly. Oh boy. Some more trying to paint the picture that they were just normal, happy family. My mama worked hard. My daddy worked hard. My brother, oh, he was always so busy with, sports. We never, ever, ever thought anything bad had happened. Lee says that I heard something on another live. Oopsie, it disappeared. Hold on. There it is. It says, I heard something on another live that a creator requested the files from Weld County and there was a file attached that wasn't supposed to be attached. And to that, Lee, I say bullshit. And I don't mean bullshit for what you said, but I'm saying bullshit about the files attached that weren't supposed to be attached. I highly doubt it. Put on your cynical hat. These scumbag YouTubers don't have anything to talk about, okay? So over and over again, in the YouTube, in the little true crime corner, well, actually in the drama corner of the true crime community on YouTube, so far in the last 2.5 years, there have been a lot of channels that talk nothing but gibberish about the case. They don't know the case, right? It's one gibberish video after another. So every once in a while, you might get one channel creator to come along who actually wants to discuss the case and who's serious about discussing the case, but they're still in the community, right, where they have to like get along with the scumbags. They have to have a way, really, right, of having their videos be seen because a lot of them are trying to make some quick money. They're told the case of Christopher Watts is the case that everybody's discussing. They're not told about all the fake profiles that are being used to make it look like there are a lot of people who care about it, okay? So all of a sudden, 2.5 years later, somebody says that they have files that blah, blah, blah. You know, I believe that that person may have received those things, but I highly doubt that they received them in the way that it's being presented. I think they might be fooled into believing that's something, but I just highly doubt. I'm very suspicious of any new information, especially information that Weld County would have accidentally released. And then you add to that what those files contained, supposedly, were screenshots of people on social media who are discussing the case. Well, that's convenient to try to make it like, oh my gosh, they're collecting information. Yes, it is a normal part of a police investigation to collect information about comments that are being made on social media. However, it is not just random collection time. It's specific people who are directly related to the case. But if instead hear that, oh my gosh, they have files on people on social media, that's one way to make people think, oh my goodness, why are they collecting our comments, right? And remember, you guys, anybody can create any profile with any name and any photo. So all of these comments are like, yeah, okay, whatever. Robin's funny. I do declare. Lee says the creator that received the file actually seems like a decent person. I agree with you. She does. I actually don't know who she is, but people have said that she is a decent person. So, okay, I agree with you. It doesn't mean that what she received was sent to her without somebody else adding something to it. That's a good point, Kay Cooper. Kay Cooper says, well, now knowing this information, it actually makes a little bit more sense as to why CW never stood up to SW. Because he was used to that kind of chaotic environment from his family growing up. Exactly. Lee says that she's new and she's not sure yet who the scumbags are. Well, we can tell you. How's that go if their lips are moving? No, the channel you're talking about, I don't think that person's a scumbag. But if you're new to this case discussion, then you don't know that one of the biggest sources for information claims to have insiders at Weld County, and right off the bat was claiming it was fact that as soon as Christopher Watt's wife walked in the front door, that he came out from behind the door and he came up behind her and strangled her and killed her right then and there. And the girls were dead before she got home. Okay? And this guy claims, and he's claimed for 2.5 years, that he has inside sources at Weld County. Okay? So after 2.5 years of this crap, you kind of get to the point where you go, yada, yada, yada. That was right up there with the guy who claimed that Christopher Watt's wife was a retired nurse. He had inside sources too. And then when you watch for 2.5 years at all the different channel creators who create absolute hate-filled, venomous crap videos, and then on their next video they're going, we'll pray for you. Yeah, we'll pray for you. Oh, you have a hangnail? Oh, we'll pray for you too. And then the next video they're like, yeah, rah, 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 rah. And then the next video they're going, oh my goodness, look at this. And then they bitch and moan and complain because one of their subs said something mean to them and they really didn't. So they get 3 other people up there to decide whether or not they really did or didn't. And then at the end of their chat, they talk about praying for each other some more before they create a hate-filled, venomous video, the next day. I mean, it's just like, I'm sorry, but the people who were involved with the attacks against many of us back in 2018 and 2019 and 2020 and 2021, but the people who started right off their initial little team of assholes, each and every one of them has their own channel. Each and every one of them, and they didn't at the time, many of them were just wrenches for the top 2 or 3 scumbags. And each and every one of them tries to pretend like they're some sort of little innocent, right? They're not. They're scumbag attackers trying to make money off of Bella and Cece's death. They're disgusting pieces of shit is what and who they are. But you're right. It'll take a while to figure it all out who's who. Well, it won't take you that long because actually there are only a couple of channels that aren't scumbags. And let me tell you something, guys. If you figure out who the scumbags are and you still watch their crap, then you're part of the problem. Because the scumbags would not be continuing if they didn't have people watching. And I know, they all have thousands of subs, right? But the thing is, they don't. They pay for those subs. So it's real people watching who are keeping them going. So I think it's getting late, you guys. I'm Eastern Standard Time, and here it's after 1 a.m. So let's go ahead and wrap this up for tonight. And I'll hop on at some point this weekend. We'll talk some more because this whole gaslighting thing is huge. And if you haven't yet read the book People of the Lie, I strongly suggest that you read that book. Also, read the book In Sheep's Clothing. Read both of those books, and then on top of it, read A Woman's Worth, okay? I think if you have read those 3 books, actually the 2, but A Woman's Worth matters also. Read those books and then learn about gaslighting. And let's start a journey of our own into trying to decipher just how terrible Christopher Watt's wife was actually treated by her in-laws, specifically by her sister-in-law. Because I think, based on what I've seen over the last 2.5 years, I think that she was being tormented by her sister-in-law. And if so, then that is a huge part of this case discussion. Just my opinion. Everybody have a good night. I'm really glad you came. We'll talk again this weekend. And remember, be safe, be healthy, and know that you are loved.